And also, then you go into what if it was a recessive gene? What if it was a dominant gene? And then add to that 99% of all species that ever lived were extinct, often with no trace. It's to some degree, I do understand why it's hard, why God is easier. But it's not, because it's not really answering it. Saying God did this is saying I don't know.
Are quite comfortable to have both now. How do you think is? I wonder. You obviously,
but that's impossible. That to me is that isn't. I don't think that is possible to have both, because there's so many obstacles and there's so many logical contradictions that you either don't need both, like praying. The number of times I say to people, if a doctor said to you, we can either give you the chemotherapy or we can pray, which one do you want? Well, I'll do both. Well, why do both? Don't you trust God?
Because you talk in your second volume of autobiography, you talk about the discussions with people like Rowan Williams. How do you think that someone like him, who's an incredibly intelligent man, balancing the two things, which is he's not anti-evolution, is he?
No, he's not. He's intelligent in the literal sense of intelligo, the Latin for I understand, because Rowan Williams finishes your sentences for you in a way that makes you feel, well, how on earth can he disagree then? Because he clearly understands.
But what is his stance without what is his stance without contradiction? So he believes that a God started it, so a God started the Big Bang and then started evolution.
He believes that. You'd have to ask him, of course. Sure. I can't. Actually, he rather surprisingly, for a sophisticated theologian, does believe in rather naive miracles, I think. I actually asked him, about walking on water and turning water into wine and things like that.
Well, you might as well, though, because I think if you believe in an all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving being. That can do anything.
Powerful, especially.
Yeah,
I think that's what they do. They say things like, "Well, the resurrection is non-negotiable. Well, I'm a Christian. I've got to believe in the resurrection. And once I've agreed to believe in the resurrection, then water into wine is child's play."
Of course, but then we can go deep into the resurrection. So, what the Christian faith believes that God gave His only Son, which was Him. Yeah, is that correct? Jesus was completely God and completely human.
But if you look at the, think if you start looking at the logic of this is, I think for a lot of people that we might mix with, who are the more liberally religious people, it's not the same as actually I think sometimes think it exists as an answer, and I think it might not be. Their belief in God is not to answer something; it is something which is not within the same realm of scientific.
No, I agree. I think, I agree, and also, as I said, we're talking about extremes. I was brought up, my mum was C of E. She vaguely believed in a God, but to her, as a working class mum, Jesus was an unpaid babysitter. It was like, if I'm not watching you, Jesus is. Just be good. And what she meant is, don't go to jail, don't die in a barroom fight, and that was it. I don't think she went into the logic of it. And also, when I was a kid, being godly. Godliness is next to cleanliness, goodliness, everything. It was like it was a shortcut for being honest and respectable, which we know is a fallacy.
My foundation, the Richard Dawkins Foundation for Reason and Science in Britain, actually ran a questionnaire, a poll, asking people who ticked the Christian box in the census in 2011. Why did you tick the Christian box? And most people ticked because I like to think of myself as a good person. That's what we're up against.
Yeah.
It's not that they actually believe anything. It's that they think the word Christian equals good.
Yes, exactly. Because whatever the Old and New Testament was, if you take it as a metaphor, then Jesus was a good guy. I was a Christian. Because I was born into Christianity, obviously, and because I was told that was the truth. And as we know, the human child's brain is a sponge for good reason. You believe your elders, you believe your parents. Don't touch the fire, don't touch the spider, don't go over the edge. And there's a God.
I wish those had been instilled in I didn't have any of those lessons at all.